My wife started taking piano lessons from a very talented teacher 3 times a week. I got suspicious and showed up early. No piano in sight, just wine and candles. She said, "We were taking a break. Music is exhausting." I gave her a permanent break from our marriage. I never thought I'd be writing one of these posts, but here we are. Looking back, the signs were all there. I just didn't want to see them. Quick background. I, 42M, was married to Qley, 38F, for just over 9 years. No kids, thankfully. I run my own construction business, which I started about 3 years before meeting Qley. It was small back then, just me and 2 employees doing residential renovations. Now we're up to 15 employees with commercial contracts. Qley works in pharmaceutical sales, also does well. We had what I thought was a solid marriage. House in a nice neighborhood, vacations twice a year, the whole package. It started about 4 months ago. Qley mentioned wanting to learn piano, said she'd always regretted not sticking with it as a kid, wanted to pick it up again. Sounded reasonable. She's always been into music, and I was supportive. She found a teacher through a coworker's recommendation, some guy named Eric who apparently gave lessons from his home studio. First red flag I missed. The lessons were always from 7 to 9 p.m., 3 times a week. Who schedules piano lessons that late? And 3 times weekly seemed excessive for a beginner. Second red flag. About 2 weeks in, Qley started putting more effort in her appearance before these lessons. New outfits, makeup touch-ups, perfume. I noticed but didn't think much of it. Third red flag. For someone taking piano lessons, she never practiced at home. When I pointed this out, she said Eric had a special teaching method that didn't require home practice. Right. Fourth red flag. One night I asked her to play something she'd learned. She got flustered, said she wasn't ready to perform yet, even for me. Said Eric believed in building a solid foundation before playing actual songs. It was my business partner Dave who finally said what I was avoiding. We were having beers after work and I mentioned Qley's new hobby. 3 nights a week, at some dude's house, for 2 hours each time, and she never practices. Dave looked at me like I was an idiot. Brother, she's not learning piano. I defended her initially, but his words stuck with me. That night, I noticed Qley humming as she got ready for her lesson, looking at herself in the mirror a little too long. When she kissed me goodbye, it felt rehearsed. I decided to check it out. Not proud of the snooping, but I needed to know. I looked at our shared cell account. Dozens of texts to a number I didn't recognize, always deleted from her phone. I found Eric's address from her navigation history. The next night, when she left for her lesson, I followed her. Kept my distance, different car, borrowed Dave's pickup. She drove to a townhouse in a nice area across town. I watched her walk in with a bottle of wine. No piano books, no notes, just wine. I waited 30 minutes, then pulled up in front of the house. Through the front window I could see them on the couch. No piano in sight, just wine glasses, candles, and my wife laughing at whatever this guy was saying. I sat there for a moment, surprisingly calm. Then I took out my phone and called her. "Hey, how's the lesson going?" I asked when she answered. "Great. Eric says my fingering technique is really improving," she replied, not missing a beat. "Interesting, considering there's no piano." Silence. Then, "What?" "I'm outside. Look through the front window." More silence. Then I saw her face appear at the window, phone still at her ear, eyes wide. I hung up and waited. She came outside, closing the door behind her. "This isn't what it looks like," she started, the classic line. "Really? Because it looks like you're having wine with your piano teacher and there's no piano." "We were just taking a break. Music is exhausting." I almost laughed at the absurdity. 3 months of lessons and you can't play a single note. That's some break. "You're overreacting," she said. "Eric is just a friend. A friend you lie about seeing. A friend you get dressed up for. A friend you bring wine to." I shook my head. "I'm not doing this here. I'm going home to pack some things. I'll be gone when you get back from your lesson." "You're leaving me?" She looked genuinely shocked. "Over this?" "No, Qley, I'm leaving, because you've been lying to my face for months. The affair is just the cherry on top." I drove home surprisingly steady. Packed essentials, important documents, some clothes. Took the spare key to Dave's rental property he'd been renovating. He'd offered it to me a while back if I ever needed to escape for a guy's weekend. Called my lawyer on the way over. By 10 p.m., I was drinking a beer in an empty house, making a plan. I spent that night researching divorce attorneys, documenting what I knew, and transferring my personal funds to a new account. Not hiding assets, just protecting what was mine before the marriage. By morning, I had appointments with 2 lawyers and a game plan. Qley called 37 times that night. I didn't answer. She texted, "Please come home so we can talk. You're making a huge mistake." It was just a few times. It didn't mean anything. Eric doesn't matter to me. That last one was when I blocked her number. My lawyer advised me to document everything, but not to move back home. Abandonment is a myth in our state, he explained. But going back creates complications. Stay away, let her panic. I took 2 weeks off work, putting Dave in charge. Used the time to get my life in order. New bank accounts, credit cards canceled, mail forwarded, the works. Qley showed up at my office, but security knew not to let her in. She tried reaching me through friends, who mostly stayed out of it after I showed them the photos I'd taken that night. Her entering with wine, them on the couch, no piano in sight. She continued living in our house during this time. My lawyer advised this was the cleanest approach. Me leaving voluntarily made it clear I wasn't trying to force her out, and it gave me the emotional distance I needed. Her parents called me, which was unexpected. I'd always gotten along with them. Her dad actually apologized. "She's always been like this," he said, sounding tired. "Wanting what she doesn't have, then not wanting it once she gets it." I thanked him for the call but said there was no going back. 3 weeks after I left, I had my lawyer serve her divorce papers at work. Cold? Maybe. Effective? Definitely. Here's where it gets interesting. In my state, adultery can impact divorce settlements. My lawyer advised gathering evidence, so I hired a PI. Over the course of 3 weeks, the investigator documented meetings with Eric and one other man. The PI's report was thorough. Photos, times, locations, patterns of behavior. It wasn't just a one-time thing with Eric. This was an established affair, and there was another guy in the picture too. When Qley finally got a lawyer and filed her response, she demanded half of everything, including my business, which I'd started before we met, though it had grown significantly during our marriage. Her filing painted me as controlling, jealous, unstable. Said I'd abandoned the marriage over a misunderstanding. My lawyer's response included the PI's report, with a note that we'd be deposing both men if the case went to trial. We offered a settlement. She keeps her car, her retirement account, and her personal belongings. I keep the house, with a buyout payment to her for her portion of the equity, my business, and my retirement funds. No alimony either way. Her lawyer called mine the next day to negotiate. After some back and forth, we reached an agreement that was close to our initial offer. She got slightly more of the house equity than we'd initially proposed, and I kept the business entirely since I'd owned it before marriage, though I had to pay her a sum for the increase in value during our marriage. The divorce was finalized about 7 months after D-Day. Between the mandatory waiting period in our state, 90 days, the negotiation process, and court scheduling, it was actually pretty quick for a divorce involving significant assets. I ran into Eric 6 months later at a restaurant. He looked uncomfortable, tried to avoid me. I walked right up to him. "How are the piano lessons going?" I asked casually. He stammered something about being sorry. "Don't be," I replied. "You did me a favor, but word of advice, get an actual piano if you're going to use that cover story." As for Qley, mutual friends tell me she moved to another city for a fresh start. Apparently, she's taking actual cooking classes now. Good luck to her next husband. It's been a year since it all went down. My business is doing better than ever, landed a major contract that has kept us busy. I sold the house, too many memories, and bought a smaller place closer to my office. Started mountain biking on weekends, something Qley always complained was too dangerous. Last month, I got a letter from Qley. No return address, just my name and office address. Inside was a short note. "I know it's too late, but I'm sorry for what I did. You deserved better. I'm in therapy now, working on why I sabotage good things. I don't expect forgiveness, just wanted you to know I regret losing you." I read it once, then put it through the shredder. Some people might call that cold. I call it closure. Update, 6 months later. So it's been about 18 months since D-Day, Discovery Day, and I figured I'd give you all an update since the original post got so much attention. Life has settled into a new normal that's actually better than the old normal. The business is growing steadily. We hired 2 more project managers and expanded our service offerings. That rental property I stayed in after leaving Qley? I bought it from Dave, renovated it myself on weekends, and now it's my home. Something satisfying about rebuilding a house while rebuilding your life. There have been some unexpected developments on the Qley front. About 3 months ago, I ran into her sister Jen at a client's housewarming party. I'd always gotten along with Jen. She's straightforward, no drama. She really messed up, Jen said after we got past the awkward hellos. Water under the bridge, I replied, ready to end the conversation. You should know something, she continued. After you left, Qley spiraled, lost her job, moved in with our parents for a while. It was bad. I didn't respond. Not my problem anymore. I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad, Jen clarified. Just thought you should know she finally faced consequences. First time in her life, really. Turns out Qley's affair with Eric wasn't her first rodeo. According to Jen, there had been others before him, even early in our marriage. Her parents had covered for her once when I was out of town on a job. That explained her father's resigned tone when he called me. Why tell me this now? I asked Jen. Because she's engaged again, and I'm worried for this guy. He seems decent. That was unexpected. What do you want me to do about it? Nothing, Jen sighed. Just needed to tell someone who understands what she's capable of. Mom and Dad still enable her behavior, even after everything. I wished Jen well and left. Didn't think much about it until a few weeks later, when I received a Facebook message from a stranger named Thomas. I'm engaged to Qley. I'd like to meet. She doesn't know I'm contacting you. Included was his phone number. Against my better judgment, I called. We met at a bar across town. Thomas was younger than me, maybe mid-30s. Finance guy, seemed smart. Thanks for coming, he said, shaking my hand firmly. I know this is weird. Extremely, I agreed. What's this about? I love Qley, he started, but I need to know what I'm getting into. After we got engaged, I found some concerning text messages on her phone. When I asked around, several people mentioned your name and said I should talk to you before going through with the wedding. Why not just ask Qley about what happened? I did. She said you were controlling, jealous, and ended the marriage over nothing. But her story has inconsistencies. I took a sip of my beer. Did she mention the piano lessons? What piano lessons? I told him everything. The lies, the multiple affairs the PI uncovered, the quick divorce when faced with evidence. He listened without interrupting. She's in therapy now, he said finally. Says she's changed. Maybe she has, I conceded. People can change. But you don't believe it. Not my place to say. I don't know her anymore. He thanked me for my honesty, paid for our drinks, and left. I figured that was the end of it. 2 weeks later, Jen texted me. Wedding's off. Thomas found out about Eric and the others. Qley's a mess again. I didn't respond. Last week, I received another letter from Qley. This one more desperate than the last. You told Thomas everything. You ruined my chance at happiness. Why couldn't you just let me move on? Haven't you hurt me enough? I didn't bother shredding this one. Just tossed it in the trash where it belonged. Here's what I've learned through all this. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Qley showed me repeatedly, but I chose not to see it until it was unavoidable. As for me, I've started dating again. Nothing serious yet, just enjoying meeting new people without the pressure of finding the one. I'm in no rush. My lawyer called recently about an old insurance policy that still had Qley listed as beneficiary. While updating it, he mentioned something that stuck with me. In my 30 years practicing divorce law, I've never seen someone walk away as cleanly as you did. Most people stay too long, try to fix the unfixable, waste years. You cut your losses and moved on. That's rare. I don't know if it's rare, but it was necessary. Some broken things aren't worth fixing. Some lessons don't need to be learned on a piano. Life goes on. Mine's going pretty well these days. The house renovation is almost done. The business is thriving. Last weekend I completed my first mountain biking competition. Didn't win, but finished without breaking anything, which at my age counts as a victory. And sometimes, When I'm working late at the office or waking up in a quiet house, I realize something. I haven't felt this peaceful in years.